In our last episode, we were talking with Terry Fator, and we left off with him talking about how much he was starting to make doing fairs and schools and all these other different projects and working almost 24/7 until his dogs started to interrupt us during the interview. You can click the box right over here to check it out if you haven't done so already. Here we go, part 3 of our interview with Terry Fator.
What Terry's saying too is that because they threw out his stuff because he was ventriloquist, he got to avoid the stuff like club politics, bringer shows.
Yeah. No, it really. I had no. That world was not a part of what I did. I didn't understand the. I never got into the comedy clubs. I did fairs and festivals, and it's weird. I never got involved in the ventriloquist community either. I mean, I kind of took them by surprise. Of course, they all knew Jeff Dunham because he started right at the same time. He started having hit DVDs, and then so everybody was talking about Jeff Dunham, and then all of a sudden, kabam! I went on America's Got Talent. Every ventriloquist during the convention was watching the show during the summer. And the ventriloquist convention, and they all looked at each other and said, "Do you know this guy? Who is he? Where did he come from?" I had never been a part of that world, or even the comedy club world. So I'm very isolated from that stuff. I do know that comedians don't like ventriloquists, and so I guess it's a good thing I didn't because I probably would have had my feelings hurt, and now I really don't care.
I was about to say,
like the only two who really kind of got to do it without getting too much flack from comedians were Jeff Dunham and then Otto and George when Otto was still alive.
Well, Otto and George were kind of in a class all their own, though.
Yeah.
So.
See, there you go. He knew Otto and George, Punchy,
Yep.
and you were worried.
Oh no,
he used to be part of the.
But Otto and George is more than just a ventriloquist. I mean, they were that was wow, what a crazy act that was. I know some stories about Otto and George.
Now, aside from Winston, because Winston, I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything.
That's okay.
All right, who's your oldest character?
Actually, okay, people ask me who my favorite character is, and Winston is my favorite.
Yeah, I hate him to say that.
He really did. So, but my sentimental favorite would have to be Walter T. Airedale, who is my cowboy puppet.
Right.
And my cowboy puppet was given to me on my 18th birthday by my mother, and she knew by that time, she knew by the time I was about 15 that I wanted to do this professionally, and we didn't have a lot of money, and we couldn't afford a professional puppet. They were, over $1,000 back in those days, and that's pretty expensive for 1980, 82. And so she started saving her money, and she saved for 3 years. And on my 18th birthday, she gave me my first puppet. That's Walter, and he's still in my show, and he's a major part of my show.
And I've noticed that he's evolved as well. At the time he didn't have a mustache, now he does.
Yeah, he decided to grow one. He just thought it made him look older. Everybody kept saying he looked too young. So.
I say keep it for the winter, shave it for the summer. There you go. That's what I would do anyway.
Well, my beard policy.
Go ahead. What?
I was saying no. My beard policy should be keep it for the winter, shave it for the summer, but I'm stubborn. Then I get face sweats.
To be honest, the reason I did that, he's bald under that hat,
right?
And he used to do a Dr. Phil impression, and I wanted to put a mustache on him to make him look more like Dr. Phil. And then when I stopped doing the Dr. Phil impression, I was just like, he looks funny because he's got that male pattern thing going on, with the thing going around.
Yeah.
And when we take his hat off, people always laugh. So it's I just kept it. So
nice.
I thought he looked a lot like Sawyer Brown.
He kind of does. Yeah, he does.
Dr. Phil is one of those impressions where I could never get tired of hearing a Dr. Phil impression. He's so easy to impersonate, but it's so funny when someone does.
Absolutely.
It's not like everyone coming out of the woodwork and doing like Christopher Walken.
Now, do you ever get hecklers at your show?
Not really. And I think the reason is it costs so much to see me. Why would you pay to go in there and yell, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, it's really, the show doesn't really lend itself to hecklers because we, you know, there is comedy, but most of it is music. So even if you're heckling, the music is playing so loud, nobody's going to be able to hear you. So, because it's really about the, you know, 70% of the show is singing and impressions. So you're going to hear Elvis Presley, Nat King Cole, Aaron Neville, Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, you know, LMFAO.
Wow, you do
and
them
you know,
too.
all that. So I do modern, we do Adele, we do Etta James, so there's so many different voices that we do. And so that's what we really focus on because that's what makes me different. You know, you can go and see another ventriloquist who'll get up and tell jokes. Well, you know, my show is very funny. And if you come and see us in Vegas or on the road, you'll laugh a lot.
Right.
But really it's about the fact that what I do is impressions of singers through puppets without moving my lips. So that's what people pay to see.
I also feel like the reason there's probably no hecklers at your shows is unlike a comedy club show where they make you buy drinks as well as a cover fee. There's no drink minimum, so there's no one getting just hammered and feeling.
No, they do get hammered. I tell you, I've never seen bigger drinks than the ones they serve at my show. They've got these Terry Fator cups that are like they got to be over 32 ounces, and they fill it full of beer. Which how do they do it? If I went to my show and I had a 32-ounce cup of beer, I would pee 5 times. I don't get it. So
my wife's the same way. My wife's the same way.
They try
can't drink
really
at concerts or anything.
Yeah, they try really hard not to break the seal. Is what they do. And then, yeah. Well, also like it's different. I guess drunk at like a show that's music based is different than being drunk at like a comedy show, because you like drunk or not with a music show, you kind of sit there and enjoy. And
yeah, and that's really, it's funny, the drunk people that come and the ones that do get drunk, and you always know who they are because they're the ones going, that was fantastic, you know, right after a show, right after a song. But it's interesting because what it does is rather than make them want to disrupt the show, they really compliment. Every time I go into a different impression, they throw their hands up and afterwards they go, that was great, you know. So it's really different. Instead of they're just kind of focused and they're even more impressed by the impressions than the ones that are sober.
Suddenly, I'm getting somebody in the back going Freebird.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a very deep, very important, personable question. Has anybody ever screamed Freebird or Slayer?
No, they haven't, but I have myself because I'm a ventriloquist, so I have yelled out Freebird, you know. So yeah, I do that sometimes just as a joke, because when I was in Texas, the band, every single show somebody yelled Freebird.
Yep. So it's mandatory for a concert.
No, it really is, and you kind of have to be in a band to understand how funny that is. Nobody ever laughed when I did it, but if the band members behind me would fall over because they think it's hilarious because they've all been in bands. And you know, if you may have heard it once if you've seen a band or like, and mostly a bar band is what, you know. And we were a bar band for 15 years. We played bars and fairs and fair stages. A lot of times we play the beer tents, you know. So boy, I heard Freebird
too many times to count. Now, do you plan on maybe getting into some heavy metal impressions like with Ozzy?
We do. Actually, we do Metallica. We do Metallica, and we do oh gosh, my brain just went dead. Smells Like Teen Spirit. Nirvana. We do Metallica and Nirvana. Dougie Scott Walker, my stoner character, he opens with, when he comes out and he's singing Metallica and Nirvana. And then, of course, he ends the set with Chicago, because Chicago is great music to listen to when you're stoned.
I was about to say.
I've heard.
So it's been passed down the line.
Allegedly.
Nice catch.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about your country Christmas that you've got going on right now at the Mirage?
Yeah. What we did was, I when I was on America's Got Talent, I kept getting letters and emails from people and saying, it's the first time we've had 3 or 4 generations of the family watching television together. We're so happy that we finally have something we can watch as a family. So I thought, I love Christmas so much. What I want to do is I want to put together an old-fashioned show. Do you remember Andy Williams and Bing Crosby? They used to do these fantastic Christmas specials. And they would pretend they were in their home, and then the doorbell would ring, and it would be, oh, look, it's David Bowie. He's just dropping by, So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to redo those and make them really super cheesy, just like those old TV shows?
Right.
Well, I went to all the networks, and they all said, absolutely not going to work. We're not going to do it.
Not even Comedy Central?
Yeah, no, nobody would. Nobody wanted to do it. So, no, I can't play Comedy Central because of Jeff Dunham. So, yeah, he will not allow me to play that. So, because he doesn't. He's the only ventriloquist on there. So we did approach them, and they made it very clear that they had one ventriloquist and one only. So he's the Highlander ventriloquist.
Right.
But
can be only one. Slice.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to thinking, I thought, you know what? I've got my own theater in Las Vegas at the Mirage. I can, why don't I just do it myself? So every year we recreate an old Andy Williams television special right there on television. I mean, right there on stage. I've rebuilt the stage to look like a living room. I've got a front door. I tell the audience, you're guests at my Christmas party at our house. This is our house tonight. The doorbell rings, and oh my gosh, look, it's Winston the Impersonating Turtle, or it's Julius, or it's Walter T. Airedale. They come out, and we do little comedy skits. And we do singing, and so it's been incredibly successful. This is our 4th year to do it, and a couple of years ago we decided that the rodeo was in town. The National Finals Rodeo is here, NFR. So I said, listen, why don't we make it more country for them? Because I am a country fan. I love country. In fact, I have a country CD called "It Starts Tonight," and so what the premise of it is that Walter T. Airedale, my country puppet, is lonely, and he misses his hometown country Christmas, and he's in Vegas, and he can't figure it out because everything, he's used to everything being real, and here he says, there's a fake Eiffel Tower, there's a fake Egyptian pyramid, and the plastic Santa Claus out front has more parts than the showgirls, real parts than the showgirls. So he's kind of missing, that down-home country feel. So I tell him, I say, we feel bad for you, so we're going to try to make it feel more like home, so we're going to make it country. And so we have this alarm that goes off every 10 minutes reminding us we have to do a country song for Walter to make him feel better. And everybody wears country. And let me tell you, my wife is a supermodel. Her name is Taylor Makako, and she is gorgeous. I don't know if you've seen her in pictures or anything. But go to taylormakakoa.com and you will see how stunning she is. She wears I used to have a crush on Daisy Duke. I cannot believe I married someone that looks 100 times hotter than Daisy Duke. And she does wear some Daisy Duke shorts that the men in the audience will be very happy their wives drag them to the show.
Of course they would.
I used to like you.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out part 3 of our interview with Terry Fator. You can click the first box for part 2, as well as click the bottom box right underneath it for part 4 of our interview if you haven't done so already. Go to terryfator.com for all his tour dates, at Terry Fator on Twitter, and of course on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter at The Sully Show, facebook.com/The Sully Show. Check out More Like Radio right underneath it as well. You can also click the subscribe button, leave a comment, tell us what you thought of the episode, and make sure you check out part 4 coming right up next. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on The Sully Show, Sundays, noon to 2 Eastern, on More Like Radio.